This is 58-year-old Jesse Gomez, who is facing charges for the murder of a police officer in San Diego. Jesse Gomez viciously murdered a 16-year veteran of the San Diego Police Department, Jonathan de Guzman. On July 28, 2016, Jonathan Guzman and Wade Irwin were patrolling Acacia Grove Way when they spotted Gomez and another man split up. The officers followed Gomez at slow speed in their patrol car before they finally approached him to confirm if he lived around there. Gomez, who reportedly thought gang members were pursuing him, opened fire on Guzman and Irwin. The officers returned fire, but only Irwin would live to see the next day. During the trial, Officer Irwin had something to say to the court.
On July 28, 2016, it didn't have to turn out that way, but it did ultimately because of the choice the defendant made. Officer Jonathan de Guzman gave more than anyone could expect to give. He was blue through and through. There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about JD, and I miss him tremendously.
After Officer Irwin's remarks, Jane de Guzman, the late officer's wife, had some words for her husband's killer.
I do not understand how could you just take someone's life without thinking about his or her family when you yourself is a father too. I really tried hard to find a place in my heart to forgive you. But when you took the stand and did not show any remorse while clearly showing that you know what you have done, I would find it hard to forgive you. I hope that they give you the punishment you deserve. Can I add something still? I heard about the trauma that you're talking about. You're thinking about the trauma of his family. How about my trauma, my kids?
After a deliberation that lasted hours, the jury arrived at a verdict and melted out the punishment.
This court, the jury has found death. This court has confirmed the jury's opinion, and I find no reason whatsoever to set aside that decision. It is the order of this court that you shall, for this murder conviction, suffer the death penalty. Said penalty to be inflicted within the walls of the state prison, San Quentin, California, in a manner prescribed by law, in the time to be fixed by this court in the warrant of execution. You are remanded to the care, custody, and control of the Sheriff of San Diego County to be delivered to the Warden of the State Prison of San Quentin, California, within 10 days of the date hereof, in the usual course of its duties, for the execution of the sentence on the offense of murder in the first degree, contained in count 1 of the information of which you have been found guilty, and the special circumstance having been found true.
After the sentencing, convicted Gomez had some words for the families of his victims.
I just want the Guzman family to know that this was not an intentional act. If I could trade places with Officer Guzman, I would, but I cannot. And I am truly sorry for that. And the second thing is that I told the truth on what happened that night. That's all I have to say about that. Thank you for your time.
Despite getting the ultimate punishment, the death penalty, Gomez's face didn't portray any emotion. This is Jeffrey Clark, who is facing a Macomb County court for murder. On July 4th, 2022, Jeffrey Clark got into an argument with Jeray Robertson at a parking lot. The matter escalated, leading to Clark shooting Robertson to death. Reports stated that Clark, along with a woman, Tamara Scott, chased Robertson in a car into the city of Fraser and killed him. The shooter was charged with first-degree premeditated murder. During the court proceedings, another woman who had romantic ties to both men had chilling revelations to make.
He proceeded to tell me that he would kill me if I told on him. He told me exactly what he did to Mr. Robertson. He told me that Mr. Robertson begged for his life, and that the only thing he was worried about was that he was on tether.
The CCTV footage of the shooting was then played in the courtroom with the family of Robertson present. With emotions running high, the twin brother of the deceased decided it was time to show Clark what pain tasted like.
Man, they gonna see you. You hear him. Man, he killed. That's what the homie said. He called all that. I need the court. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am sorry.
Order was eventually restored to the court after Robertson's brother was handcuffed and sat in the courtroom. Clark, on the other hand, was finally convicted for murder and was denied bond. Tamara, who had been charged with 1 count of accessory to a felony, had her bond set at $2,000. After the hearing, one of the attorneys could not believe the events that had just unfolded.
It's an emotional case. I mean, obviously we have an individual who was shot repeatedly. We have members of the victim's family, the defendant's family were present, so it's no surprise that emotions are involved. It's unfortunate that they decided to let those emotions unleash in the courtroom.
This is Joshua Jones, who is in an Aiken County court for murder and illegal possession of firearms. On January 28, 2012, the 26-year-old shot and killed Master CPL Sandra Rogers while she was responding to a report of suspicious activity at Eustis Park. Hours before Jones killed Rogers, he shot and killed his 21-year-old pregnant girlfriend, Casey Weiss. The cop killer is being charged with murder and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime.
You do not understand the law that you're charged under. I'll be glad to explain the law to you. You have a charge of possession of a weapon during a violent crime and also a charge of murder. Do you understand the charge of possession of a weapon during a violent crime?
Yeah.
On that charge, if you're found guilty, it can carry a sentence of up to 5 years and/or a fine in the discretion of the court. Do you understand the law pertaining to murder?
Yeah.
During court proceedings, the 26-year-old, who was not a fan of questions, responded to the judge's questions with a puzzling display.
Do you have the income to hire an attorney on your own?
Does it look like it?
I don't know, sir. I don't have any idea. Do you want me to screen you for an attorney?
No,
Can I hire your own?
I don't need one.
Jones continued showing his teeth to the judge and went full wolf mode when she tried to ask another question.
Do you want to be screened for an attorney?
Care.
Mr. Jones. You state at this time you are currently unemployed. I am going to pre-qualify you for a court-appointed attorney. Someone from the public defender, Mr. Jones, someone from the public defender's office will come over and speak with you about your case.
Jones was tried and found guilty. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of parole. This is 48-year-old Jose Govea Jimenez, who is facing charges for several felony counts of drug trafficking. Jimenez is the ringleader of a Columbus area drug operation and was working with a Mexican cartel. During the investigation, Columbus police seized about 55 pounds of heroin with an estimated street value of $2.5 million. Jimenez, alongside 4 others associated with the drug operation, were brought to the Franklin County Court for drug trafficking and engaging in a corrupt activity. During the trial, the prosecutor said something scary about the drug lord.
He's the ringleader of an organization that is so fear-inspiring that the people who come here from Mexico refuse to testify against it because they know as soon as they are born, their family will be murdered in Mexico.
The case was quite challenging because most people refused to testify against Jimenez, But as the trial continued, one of the co-defendants, Jennifer Lynn Guy, took the witness stand to give her view on the case.
He was bringing me the drugs to my house,
What kind of drugs?
heroin,
How much?
a kilo, and the last time 2 kilos,
How much would you have to pay him for it?
9,000,
And how much would you get paid for it?
14,500.
Jimenez realized his cover had been blown when Jennifer shed more light on the case. This is what he had to say to the judge through an interpreter.
Has been overblown,
Y pido perdón por lo que yo he hecho.
and I apologize.
Jimenez apologized and felt sorry before the judge, but Judge Kimberly Cockcroft expressed her surprise in the case.
Surprised to hear you say today that your participation is overblown. I was very intentional about explaining to you the statutory requirement for conviction.
The court found Jimenez guilty of his crimes, and he was sentenced to 21 years behind bars. He will be subjected to a deportation order after serving his jail term. This is Leonid Grazer, who is currently facing charges for murder in a Moscow court in Russia. The 18-year-old teenager confessed to the murder of his 21-year-old sister, Ariada Korol, after he was detained for 2 months. Korol was found naked with multiple stab wounds in the hallway of an apartment block where she shared a flat with her brother. The Russian teen claimed that Satan made him kill his sister. According to the report, Grazer undressed after killing Korol and drew demonic symbols with his sister's blood before the police arrived. During questioning, Grazer didn't show any sign of remorse, but instead, he responded with smiles.
Зачем так с сестрой расправились?
Grazer confidently asserted that he killed his sister to get rid of his doubt.
Он что, должен зарезать ее, убить или как?
Нет, избавиться от сомнений.
От каких сомнений?
Себе.
The police found drugs in the teen's house, which could also be the cause of Grazer's actions. However, the 18-year-old claimed he was aware of his actions.
Зачем вы так с ней расправились?
Потому что я должен. Себе должен. Я должен так себе. Я осознанно это сделал.
In Sherbinsky District Court in Moscow, Grazer was camped in a glass cage to prevent him from trying anything funny, but the teen had other plans.
Не лезь, не надо.
Куда ты лезешь? Делай.
Grazer's first attempt didn't work out as planned, but he was quick to find an alternative route.
Слышь, что говорю?
Я слышу.
The teen managed to force himself through the roof of the glass cage and proceeded to struggle through the ceilings of the courtroom. The officers with him took prompt action to stop the defendant and struggled with him.
Да, смотрите. Видите?
Спасибо тебе.
Держись.
Eventually, more officers arrived at the scene and tasered the 18-year-old teen.
Таня, лезьте туда. Давай,
Помогите! Помогите мне! Помогите мне! Помогите мне! Дайте мне руку! Дайте руку! Дайте руку! Дайте мне руку! Пускайся, говорю!
Возьми, бля.
Куда нажать? Дайте руку!
Сейчас, я тебе дам руку.
Finally, Grazer gave up and pleaded with the officers to let him down.
Ко мне, бля.
А, все!
Сука,
Все, я отпускаю!
я тебе дам сейчас.
Я отпускаю! Быстро, блядь! Артем, залазь!
да он сверху пролез через это.
Ты что,
Это видно,
дурак? Открывайте, зайдите в клетку, блядь. Здесь, держите, вот здесь. На, подни, поди сюда. Поди сюда, все. Поди сюда, одевай. Штаны одевай. Да, так.
After the failed attempt, the officers cuffed Grazer to prevent him from executing other plans he might have. In 2020, a judge sentenced Grazer to mandatory psychiatric medical treatment, and his punishment was reviewed every 6 months during his medical examination. This is Humberto Delgado, who is on trial for the first-degree murder of a Tampa police corporal, Mike Roberts. On August 19, 2009, Delgado, a former Virgin Islands police officer, was pushing a golf cart filled with weapons when Corporal Roberts spotted him. During the search, Delgado attempted to run, but the cop confronted him with a taser. Delgado also made moves to defend himself, and a struggle ensued between the both, leading to a fistfight. The struggle became fierce when Delgado pulled out his firearm and fired a shot that would put an end to the cop's life. During the court proceedings, Delgado cooked up a perfect lie to evade justice.
He wasn't thinking clearly. He wasn't able to make judgments. He wasn't able to weigh the good and the bad, the positive and the negative.
Roberts' wife, Cindy, pleaded with the judge to prevent other families from suffering their fates. She also had few words for her husband's killer.
But mostly, I want to speak to you. You. I will not speak your name. You are not worthy of such respect. You have been given several opportunities to speak during this trial, and like a coward, you have remained silent, and you are not remorseful. You coward. You murdered my husband in cold blood. You pistol whipped him until he was unconscious. He was no threat to you. I hope you receive the death penalty, and so does Mike. So does Mike. He had no tolerance for cop killers and thought you should get the death penalty for it. You no longer have a name. You're just an inmate number. But to many of us, you will just be known as cop killer.
The jury found Delgado guilty of his crime, but he showed no emotions. The judge handed him the death penalty for the murder of Corporal Robert.
For the murder of Corporal Michael Roberts, this court sentences you to be put to death in the manner prescribed by law.
Delgado appealed the sentence, and it was changed to life imprisonment by the Florida Supreme Court due to his mental illness and the circumstances of the crime. In this next case, we will be looking at a serial criminal who couldn't catch a break and seems to have luck on his side. Will his lucky streak continue? This is Christopher Dominguez, who is facing an Albuquerque district court for violating his probation while at a treatment facility. Dominguez violated his probation by taking prohibited Suboxone while at the treatment facility. The judge was no stranger to the elusive criminal, as he had managed to escape a lengthy jail time in the past, and had some words for him.
It's as if there's something else going on here that we need to take a look at and find out what treatment is appropriate for you.
Feeling remorseful, Dominguez made an admission before the court.
I didn't mean for this to happen. The drug was there, and I kept saying no, and I was tempted, and finally I gave in, and I was wrong, and I'm just sorry.
After reviewing the evidence against the elusive criminal, the court felt compassion and decided that a 60-day diagnostic evaluation would help change the serial criminal and put him on the right path. How wrong they were. A year later, Dominguez found himself yet again in an Albuquerque district court on numerous car theft charges.
He'd like a chance to prove that to you by coming back out onto a short term of probation.
She had played the victim card some months back in a similar case that involved her client.
I know we've heard the words last chance before, but that's what I'm asking for this time, is just one final and truly last chance.
Following his counsel, Dominguez also put on a nice guy persona for his statement.
I want to change my old way of living and have a promising future. Thank you for your time, Your Honor. Respectfully, Christopher Dominguez.
The judge, sensing the charade Dominguez and his counsel had put on display for the entire court, decided to put the facts straight with her final judgment.
Given a deal, I think 6.5 years for this many cases is a great deal. And that's the benefits you're getting out of it. So take advantage of it. Good luck. Thank you.
Realizing his luck with avoiding prison had run out, Dominguez dropped his nice guy act and erupted in front of the judge as he was escorted out from the court. Luckily, the judge didn't add an extra year to his sentence for contempt of court.